How's it going, everybody? June 13th, 2021, 11:30 a.m., and we are going to talk about this system in the Gulf. In fact, there's two of them. We will break down the current information we have on the possibility of Tropical Storm Bill. But before that, I want to take a look at the Northeast, my friends. Over the last 4 or 5 days, we've had some interesting and pretty odd seismic activity, as well as a continuation of that swarm by the Salton Sea in California. All right, my friends, we're here on the USGS, and one thing I want to just point out is these quakes in the Northeast you're not going to see here on the USGS. Even if you put this on 7 days, all magnitudes, the only one you're going to see here is the New Jersey quake that took place on the 9th of June. Now, I'm sure a lot of you remember this. We reported on this quake when it happened, but there was also another earthquake on this day in Pennsylvania. And now this may be a tad confusing because we're actually going to be looking at 2 earthquakes in Pennsylvania, one taking place on June 9th and the other taking place on June 12th, just yesterday. But the only way you can see it is if you come to this chart called volcanodiscovery.com, as they have these marked on the chart, including people reporting feeling it. And I happen to live in this area, and I have talked to people that felt the first of these 2 quakes on June 9th. Once on the site, you just scroll down to this little chart here on the bottom, and you will see the most recent quakes we can look at, and only one of these is showing up on the GFS. As you can see really quick, I'll switch back over, and we go ahead and click that quake, and you can see it is the Tuckerton, New Jersey quake, the 2.4 that took place on June 9th. So now that we have that set up, take a look at this. We can match that quake right here. This was near Atlantic City on the 9th, but also this happened on the 9th. We'll go ahead and zoom in here. As you can see now, the 2 quakes taking place in Pennsylvania. This one we're going to look at here was just north of Quakertown on June 9th, which was the same day as this New Jersey earthquake. And because of the rarity of Northeast earthquakes, even though these are fairly small, they're still very rare in this area. I believe it leads a lot of proof that these were 2 different quakes dealing with a pressure situation in the Northeast, because then just 3 days later, take a look at this. This was yesterday near Levittown, Pennsylvania, with an unspecified depth and an unspecified magnitude. So they're still trying to figure out how big this quake was, but nonetheless, people felt it. It was there. And usually you won't see a lot of reporting on quakes in the Northeast because of how small they are, but when they start grouping up and you start seeing them consecutively, it's gonna raise some eyebrows. And believe it or not, for those of you that don't know, we do have a very big fault line on the East Coast that is very similar to the San Andreas fault. And for any of you that want to look that up, that is called the New Madrid fault line. It clearly also seems that over the last week, Oklahoma has taken a significant hit seismic-wise, but the talk of the seismic town, my friends, once again is California. We're going to zoom in to the Salton Sea, which you can already see has been just littered with seismic activity over the last week. We have this set for 7 days, all magnitudes, but I'm going to go ahead and hit 1 day, all magnitudes, so we can see the most recent, and you'll see right now that this is not over by a long shot. We will absolutely continue to report on this area. As long as we see these red dots anywhere within the vicinity of the Salton Sea, we know the movement is still going on. And once again, the 7 day, all magnitude clearly shows that we're dealing with a swarm, if not 2 different swarms along the San Andreas Fault and the Salton Sea. All right, everybody, and now for the fun part. We're going to try to forecast the possibility of this tropical storm. We have plenty of time between now and the projected landfall of this storm. We don't know if it's going to be a hurricane, a tropical storm. We just don't know yet. All we have is the available data, and we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, I have you here on the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. Basically, this lets us know what areas are expected to produce cyclones. Now, we have this orange area right here. I'm sure a lot of you are used to seeing this chart. So what this means is that over the next 5 days, the National Hurricane Center projects that this has a 50% chance of becoming a cyclone. And you can see the cone of this. The X marks where the central low pressure is right now, and then the cone represents where they believe this storm will be moving as it's beginning to form into a cyclone. And this is where it might get a little confusing, because as we look at this invest, and you're going to notice there's 2 invests. So we have 92L, and we also have 93E, which very much look like they're in the same exact spot, which they almost are, but it's 2 separate systems. Now, the best way to show this is going to be click by click on Tropical Tidbits. So we're going to start from the beginning, which is current time, June 13th, and we're going to go click by click. So just to orientate ourselves, we have our invest here over the next 5 days. So we can look in this area right here for development, and then we saw the spaghetti plots bringing this thing into the Pacific Ocean. But yet when we have this chart here and we move forward, we see a system moving north into the Gulf. So what is going on here? Well, again, this is 2 different systems. So the first of which you will actually see form in this area and then kind of dip down into the Pacific Ocean. And then this 50% chance over 5 days is what you're seeing coming up north to the Gulf. So as we move forward a few days into the 14th, here is the 15th, here is the 16th, here's the 17th, 18th, which makes 5 days. And now we see the beginning of counterclockwise spin. So everything that's taking place before this 5 days is what you're looking at on these spaghetti plots here for Invest 93E. Then 5 days from now is what this bubble here is representing as a Gulf storm in the Atlantic Ocean, more than likely taking up the name Bill as a tropical storm or the possibility of a Cat 1 hurricane. So just to be clear, I am by no means predicting a Category 1 or really predicting anything. I'm kind of giving you guys visualization of what we have available and information based on the past. I mean, we can make educated guesses with things that we've seen in the past, things we've experienced, and we're in the middle of hurricane season. We're 2 weeks in, and there is a little peak in this area. It may not be anything super serious as far as named storms and big major hurricanes this time of year, but it's certainly possible, and we've seen them in the Gulf. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. I enjoy putting this content out to you on a daily basis. We'll be back later on this afternoon or tomorrow, depending on which of those times brings us the most interesting news. Thank you all so much. Shout out to Canada. Have a great Sunday and a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.